It seems that everything is just driven by cost, but especially here in Europe, where there are a lot of regulations and a lot of concern about where is your data. I'm just wondering if in the US there is the same trend.
It's often overlooked. And if you see governance and compliance, normally it's at the application level, not at the platform level. And I think it needs to be at the platform or even the system level. If you think about it, compliance is something that needs to exist across systems because we're dealing with a vast array of data that has under different regulatory controls, rules, policies, all those sorts of things. If you're trying to do it in a silo, you're just solving the compliance issue for that particular silo. So it's something that should be thought of strategically that's able to span systems, both governance and compliance. And by the way, security should be done within similar patterns as well. So we're not just we're not reinventing the wheel for a particular siloed system, either on Amazon, Microsoft, or Google. People like to solve problems at the cloud levels, at the platform levels. We're thinking holistically in terms of how it's going to work and play well together. So the conversation's coming back. I noticed that my governance course on LinkedIn Learning, which wasn't hit a lot, is now getting hit more because I think people are asking themselves, how do you do governance correctly? Because it is related to security, it is related to compliance. It is kind of one in a processing. So it's moving from a tactical deployment into a strategic deployment, which is good, but not enough people are thinking about it. So normally
governance and compliance and public cloud is a contradiction in terms to be used in the same sentence or not?
Well, I mean, governance is basically putting policies around utilization of things like APIs and data and things like that. So compliance is about also policies. So you think about it, governance is a way to carry out compliance. If you use
one of them is where is your data as per physically?
What's that?
Where the data physically is as well is one of the
absolutely.
concerns.
I mean, yeah, you push the data outside the country, in some European countries, you're going to get fined, and you're going to get some big PR hits. Yeah, all that kind of comes into play as well. So I think the core thing is it's something people are focused on more. It's something I think that's very misunderstood. I think there's probably lack of capabilities in the tooling that we have now. Hopefully, with some of the AI stuff, we'll get better at it. And everybody has a tendency to try to do it within a silo, and I think that's going to kill us because we can't do 40, 50 different siloed governance, governance silos, but that's what people do. So they use governance on AWS, they use governance on Microsoft, and governance even within the application. So they have a tendency to make things more complex, which is something they shouldn't do. They should make things easier. They should abstract the complexity of governance away from the systems into the hands of some sort of a centralized dashboard. There's no one tool that does that well. So obviously you need a stack of tools to make that happen. It's possible to do that. But just getting people thinking about that is a difficult thing to do. That the fact that and also security is systemic. People don't like that. They like security being kind of part of the like the last step. And then thinking about how this stuff lives within a DevOps tool chain, all these sorts of things really need to be brought into the conversation early. And actually now since we have AI as part of the stack, really, we need to bring ethics into play. I always have an ethics specialist on my AI architecture teams because chances are I'm going to court at some time, trying to explain to a court of law how this thing was programmed and trained. And I need the ethics compliance there and someone who's doing the testing, things like that. So just a number of different disciplines that have to come into play here. Governance is the big one that mostly I see missing, to the point you make.
Yeah, great insight. Thank you, David. Thank you very much. You spent a lot of time with us already and has shared so much good information with us. Again, just one last question to say goodbye. And again, one of the big ones, because businesses need to think more, like you said, on their plan ahead. And when it comes to, often they say, well, I'm a manufacturing company and I just have the same budget to go around. I've got a certain amount of money to go around, and IT takes a big chunk of it. Is that a reality they just have to accept that it is, that no longer IT is a resource, but a driver in their business?
Yes. I mean, you're always going to have budgetary limitations, and that's, and it's never going to be an unlimited blank check. And I understand that you may be creating an innovative differentiator for the business, but that needs to be understood at the board level and the money allocated. You're only going to get a certain static pile of money. Your ability to do the most with that pile of money is really your job. Now, sometimes you're going to be given an unreasonable budget where you're not going to be able to do everything you should be able to do with the budget they're able to give you, but that's the reality of business. And you have to go back and fight for it and see if you can get more money, or they're not going to give you as
That
much
is true.
money. And then you're going to, in essence, sometimes people are set up to fail. I've done that a few times. I walked in, you guys, you're running your IT group at 0.1% of your total gross revenue. That's way below metrics. And I said, they're setting you up to fail. So either you're going to have to get additional money, or this is going to be something I wouldn't want to participate in. And so that's just the realities of it. So you have to go, but we're always, as IT professionals, never going to have a complete blank check. We're going to have to be very careful of the money we're given. And again, the core purpose of as an architect is to get the most value out of the investment that you're given.
David, I feel honored by your time and enlightened as usual. Your book was absolutely great. Really enjoyed it. And this time together as well. Thank you very much for your time. And hopefully we'll talk again.
You got it. Anytime.